Hello! How've you been doing? Today, we will learn about 11 consonants and 5 double consonants in Hangul following last time. As I briefly introduced in the last lecture, Hangul has 21 vowels and 19 consonants. In the last lecture, we identified 10 basic vowels out of 21 vowels and 14 basic consonants. To briefly review the contents of the last lecture, the basic vowel is a combination of three symbols, cheon, ji, and in. The first one cheon symbolizes the sky and was used as a vowel as area, meaning the below vowel ah, but it is not used now. And the next one ji, symbolizing the land is still used as the vowel eu, and then symbolizing mankind is still used as the vowel e. Combining the below ah to the right of the vowel e derives the vertical and positive vowel ah, and combining to the left derives the vertical and negative vowel a. Once again, to the right of the positive vowel ah, you can create a positive vowel and a double vowel, ya. By combining area once again to the left of the dark vowel a, we can derive the dark and double vowel yeo. When pronouncing the double vowels ya and yeo, the additional attached area was said to be the same as the weakly pronounced vowel e. So when you pronounce the double vowel ya, you weakly pronounce the vowel e and immediately follow the vowel ah, as fast as a vowel. Similarly, when you pronounce the double vowel yeo, you weakly pronounce the vowel e, and immediately followed by the vowel a, as fast as a vowel. In this way, we combine area and the vowel e to create four vertical vowels, ah, ya, and yeo. Combining area above the vowel u results in a horizontal and positive vowel o, and combining at the bottom results in a horizontal and negative vowel wu. If we associate the symbol ji, which means land, with the horizon, it is said that the upper horizon represents day and the lower horizon represents night. So the vowel o can give a bright and light feeling of day, and the vowel wu can give a dark and heavy feeling of night. If you add area to the top of the positive vowel o, you can create a bright double vowel yo. You can create a dark double vowel u when you add area to the bottom of the dark vowel wu. In the same way as when pronouncing the double vowels ya and yeo, the additional attached area was said to be the same as the weakly pronounced vowel e. Therefore, when you pronounce the double vowel yo, you weakly pronounce the vowel e and immediately followed by the vowel o, as fast as a vowel. Similarly, when pronouncing the double vowel u, we weakly pronounce the vowel e and immediately followed by the vowel wu, as fast as a single vowel. In this way, you can combine area and the vowel to create four horizontal vowels, o, yo, wu, and
yo.
When organizing the four vertical and four horizontal vowels derived from the three symbols cheon, ji, and in order, the dictionary order is that the vertical vowels precede the horizontal vowels, and the bright vowels precede the dark vowels. And you need to remember the order in which the horizontal vowel symbolizing the land precedes the vertical vowel e, symbolizing the mankind. Therefore, the dictionary order of the 10 basic vowels we learned in the last session is summarized below.
아, 야, 어, 여, 오, 요, 유, 이.
As such, we checked 10 basic vowels out of 21 Korean vowels last time. Now let's look at the remaining 11 vowels. If 10 basic vowels were created by combining three symbols, 7 of the remaining 11 could be created by combining the vertical vowel e and 7 basic vowels. As you can see on the screen, you can combine the vertical vowel e on the right side of the 7 existing vowels to derive the 7 vowels. As shown on the screen, the vertical vowel e can be combined with all vertical vowels to derive 4 double vowels. On the other hand, when a vertical vowel e is combined with a horizontal vowel, only 3 single vowels can be combined to produce another 3 vowels.
왜, 위, 위.
Vowels wo and we are classified as single vowels, and the vowel ui is classified as a double vowel. In this way, the vertical vowel e can be combined with 4 vertical vowels and 3 horizontal vowels to produce 7 vowels. To be more specific, you can combine the vowel ah and the vowel e to create a vowel e. These combination principles can also be applied to abbreviations of words. For example, the word ai can be abbreviated and called a. Similarly, you can combine the vowel ya and the vowel e to create a vowel ye, which applies to the word iyagi as well, so that the word iyagi can be abbreviated as yagi. The combination principle of vowel which combines vowel e, and vowel ye, which combines vowel e and yeo, may include grammar and require more complex explanations. So, I'll explain an example of the combination principle associated with these two vowels when we face examples of grammar or words that these two vowels contain. On the other hand, as I will explain later, when you write a vertical vowel created by combining vowel e and the vertical vowel, you can write it from the left in order. On the other hand, when writing three vowels created by combining the vertical vowel e and the three horizontal vowels, write the horizontal vowel from the left first and the right vertical vowel e. I will explain it in more detail in the writing practice. Since you have identified 7 of the 11 additional vowels, you can now check all Korean vowels by checking the remaining 4 vowels. The remaining 4 vowels use the horizontal and single vowels, o, and wu. As shown on the screen, horizontal vowels, o, and wu, can be derived into 2 double vowels by combining vertical and single vowels, a, and a. Then, again, the horizontal vowels, o, and wu, are combined with the vertical and double vowels, a, and e, to derive 2 double vowels. At this time, if you remember that the bright vowel combines with the bright vowel, while the dark vowel combines with the dark vowel, you can remember the 4 derived vowels more easily. In addition, unlike when combining vertical vowel e, when combining horizontal vowels, o, and wu, with 4 vowels, they are combined on the left rather than on the right. And since these 4 derived vowels are a combination of horizontal and vertical vowels, you can write the horizontal vowels, o, or wu, on the left first, and the vowels, a, and or a, and e, on the right. The 11 vowels identified so far are summarized in order as follows.
예, 이, 예, 이, 마, 뇌, 뇌, 워, 뇌, 위, 위.
Now, let's check the pronunciation of the 11 newly confirmed vowels in more detail. It is not difficult to pronounce the basic vowels, and identified earlier. However, it is not easy to distinguish between the vowels a and e, created by combining the vowel e with these 2 vowels, and It is not easy for native Korean speakers to pronounce vowels a and e separately. Typical examples are the words gay and gay. Because it is not easy for native Korean speakers to distinguish between the 2 vowels, rather than distinguishing the words gay and gay by sound, they rely on words or conversational situations that contain them. For example, if you said mujige, the vowel a was used, and if you said jeepge, the vowel e was used. If a word or conversation situation does not help distinguish between the 2 vowels, native speakers of Korean ask the speaker a question, ai, or the speaker spelt ai, before the listener asks such a question. On the other hand, if you want to pronounce these 2 vowels differently, you can pronounce the vowel a, as it is a bright vowel, so you can pronounce it with a light and bright feeling, and the vowel e, as a dark vowel, so you can pronounce it with a dark and heavy feeling. However, even if you pronounce these 2 vowels separately, the native Korean speaker will distinguish the 2 vowels by relying on the meaning of the word or the context of the conversation rather than listening to your pronunciation. For reference, the Korean National Language Institute classifies the vowel a as a front vowel and a low vowel, and the vowel e is classified as a front vowel and a middle vowel. In other words, the bright vowel a is similar to the vowel a in the word apple, and the dark vowel e is similar to the vowel e in the word bet. However, in this textbook, for ease of explanation, the pronunciation of the bright vowel a will be marked as e, and the pronunciation of the phonetic vowel e will be marked as e. Vowels a and e were created by combining the vowel e with the single vowels a and respectively. Similarly, by combining the vowel e with the double vowels y and yo, vowels ye and ye can be produced. At this time, when pronouncing vowels ye and ye, as in pronouncing vowels y and yo earlier, if you pronounce the vowel e short and weak, and if you pronounce the vowel a little stronger, you can effectively pronounce the vowel ye. For example, the first step is to pronounce the vowel e short and weakly, followed by the vowel a little stronger. In the second step, pronounce the vowel e and as fast as one word. Even at this time, the vowel e is pronounced short and weak. If you have practiced the first and second steps enough, as the last step, pronounce the double vowel ye as a vowel now. This pronunciation practice method can also be applied to the vowel ye. Let's listen to the sounds and pronounce them together.
예, 이, 에, 이에, 예, 예, 이, 에, 이에, 예.
Next, let's look at the 7 vowel pronunciations derived by combining horizontal vowels and vertical vowels. First of all, if you want to practice pronouncing the 4 vowels wa, wua, we, and yui efficiently in these 7 vowels, you can simply pronounce horizontal and vertical vowels sequentially. When pronouncing sequentially, the 3-step method introduced above can be used. In other words, the vowel wa is a double vowel that combines the horizontal vowel o and the vertical vowel a. As a first step, if you pronounce the horizontal vowel o short, weak, and then pronounce the vertical vowel a little stronger, you can pronounce the double vowel wa correctly. In the second step, pronounce the horizontal vowel o and the vertical vowel a as fast as one word. Even at this time, the horizontal vowel o is pronounced short and weak. If you have practiced the first and second steps enough, pronounce the double vowel wa as one double vowel wa. This pronunciation practice method can also be applied to the remaining 3 vowels. Let's listen to the sounds and pronounce them together.
와, 오, 아, 우와, 와, 워, 우, 우어, 워, 위, 우, 이, 우이, 위, 위, 으, 이, 으이, 위.
Now let's look at the pronunciation of the 3 vowels we, and we that combine horizontal and vertical vowels. First, let's check the pronunciation of the vowels we and we. If you pronounce these 2 vowels in the 3-step process introduced earlier, you may feel that the pronunciation difference between the 2 vowels is clear. While listening to the sounds, let's practice pronunciation of these 2 vowels in 3 stages.
왜, 오, 에, 오에, 왜, 왜, 우, 에, 우에, 왜.
Now that you've practiced pronunciation of these 2 vowels, do you think there's a clear difference in pronunciation between these 2 vowels? However, as can be seen in the phonetic symbols, the fact that the vowel we and the vowel we can be pronounced separately means that the vowel a and the vowel e can be pronounced separately. And as previously introduced and confirmed, it is not easy for native Korean speakers to pronounce vowels a and e. Therefore, it is not easy for native Korean speakers to pronounce the double vowels we and we separately. Even more problematic is that, along with the double vowels we and we, the single vowel we can also be pronounced in the same way as the 2 double vowels we and we. Vowels we and we, derived by combining horizontal and vertical vowels, are vowels produced by combining 2 vowels, so they are easy to think of as double vowels, but in reality they are single vowels. Vowels we and we are single vowels, but can be pronounced as double vowels, according to the National Institute of Korean Language. Vowels we can be pronounced in a way that quickly pronounces vowels wu and e, as previously introduced. However, the National Institute of Korean Studies stipulates that when pronouncing the double vowel, we, as a double vowel, instead of pronouncing the vowels, o, and e, quickly, they can be pronounced as vowels, wu, and e. In other words, when pronouncing the single vowel, we, as a double vowel, it can be pronounced in the same way as the double vowel, we. As a result, the double vowels, we, and the single vowel, we, can all be pronounced in similar or the same way. Therefore, whether you pronounce English waiter as waiter or waiter or waiter, all native Korean speakers can recognize the same sound. Let's compare the pronunciation of the three vowels, listening to the sounds of the English word waiter using the vowels we, and we.
데이터, 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 데이터.
So far, we have explained that 7 vowels can be derived by combining the vowel e with 7 of the 10 basic vowels. It was also explained that the horizontal vowel o and the vertical vowel can be combined to produce a double vowel wa, and the horizontal vowel o and the vertical vowel a can be combined to derive the double vowel we. It was also explained that the horizontal vowel wu and the vertical vowel can be combined to derive the double vowel war, and the horizontal vowel wu and the vertical vowel can be combined to derive the double vowel we. Hangul has a total of 21 vowels, 11 vowels derived by combining 2 vowels and 10 basic vowels. The 21 Korean vowels are organized in a dictionary order as follows.
아, 아, 에, 에, 야, 야, 예, 예,
어, 어, 네, 네,
여, 여, 예, 예, 오, 오, 와, 와,
네, 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 네,
요, 요, 우, 우,
워, 워, 네, 네,
위, 위, 유, 유,
으, 으, 의, 의, 이, 이.
Just as 2 vowels in Korean are combined to derive another vowel, 1 double consonant can be derived by combining 2 consonants in Korean. For example, you can combine the consonant giok and another giok to produce a single double consonant, songgiok. Song means a pair, here the same too. Like the double consonant, songgiok, there are 5 Korean double consonants derived by combining 2 identical consonants.
쌍기역, 쌍디귿, 쌍비읍, 쌍시옷, 쌍지읒.
Among them, the double consonants, songgiok and songsiet, can be used not only as initial but also as final consonants, and the remaining double consonants can be used only as initial consonants. Unlike double consonants, 2 different consonants can be combined to produce compound consonants. These compound consonants cannot be used as initial consonants and can only be used as final consonants. Earlier, we said that writing in Korean has 2 ways, one is a consonant and a vowel, and the other one is a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. Let's look at the Korean word, mak, following the second method as an example. The initial consonant is the consonant, mium, the vowel is the horizontal vowel o, and the final consonant is a compound consonant, consisting of giok and siet. In addition to this compound consonant, there are 9 compound consonants, a total of 10 compound consonants. The contents of these 10 compound consonants will be checked in more detail when explaining the second method of writing, reading, in Korean. Let's look at the pronunciation method of each of the 5 double consonants generated by combining the same consonants. As introduced earlier, it was said that the double consonant, songyok, can be used in both initial and final consonants. First, let's take a look at the initial pronunciation method of songyok. Before checking the initial pronunciation method of the double consonant, songyok, to help you understand, first compare the initial pronunciation characteristics of the consonant, gyok, and the initial pronunciation characteristics of the consonant, kyuk, produced by adding a stroke to the consonant, gyok. In the first lecture, it was said that it was possible to add a stroke to the usual sound, gyok, to derive the strong and aspirated sound, kyuk. The usual sound, gyok, is a sound close to the English voiced velar sound, g, and the strong sound, kyuk, is close to the English voiceless velar sound, k. The English velar sounds, g, and k, are distinguished by voiced and voiceless sounds, respectively. However, the Korean velar sounds of the initial consonants, gyok, and kyuk, are differentiated not by the characteristics of voiced and voiceless sounds, but rather by the presence of aspiration in kyuk and its absence in gyok. In other words, when native Korean speakers pronounce the consonant, gyok, as an initial sound, they naturally produce a sound closer to the voiceless aspirated sound, k, in English, rather than narrowing the vocal cords to produce the voiced sound, g. Due to these pronunciation characteristics, when native Korean speakers utter gim, one of the representative surnames in Korea, English native speakers tend to perceive it as kim rather than gim. However, even if English native speakers perceive a spoken gim as kim instead of gim, native Korean speakers still recognize it as gim rather than kim. Therefore, as an English native speaker, it would be beneficial for you to pronounce the initial consonant, gim, in Korean more closely to the voiced velar sound, g, than the voiceless aspirated velar sound, k, in English. This could become an easier way for you to articulate the initial sound of the Korean consonant, gyok, like a native Korean speaker. So, listen to audio samples and practice distinguishing the initial sounds of gyok and kyuk along with the following words.
긴, 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 기, 기,
킥, 킥,
거리, 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 길이, 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 공, 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 공.
Through sufficient practice, if you can distinguish the initial sounds of the Korean consonants, gyok and kyuk, and pronounce them correctly, let's now examine the pronunciation method of the initial sound of songyok. Earlier, it was mentioned that Korean distinguishes consonant sounds not by voiced and voiceless distinctions like English, but rather by basic and aspirated distinctions. In addition to basis and aspirated sounds, Korean also has fortis sounds. In other words, Korean consonant sounds can be distinguished into basic, aspirated, and fortis sounds. To confirm in advance, all 5 double consonants are fortis sounds of basic consonants. The initial sound of songyok is the result of the initial sound of the consonant, gyok, becoming a fortis sound. To compare the initial sound of the double consonant, songyok, with English pronunciation, in this textbook, we will explain it by first comparing the initial sound of the aspirated consonant, kyuk, and the initial sound of the fortis double consonant, songyok. Comparing the aspirated initial sound of the consonant, kyuk, to the fortis sound of the double consonant, songyok, one useful English word for explanation is sky. As you can observe in the pronunciation of the English word, sky, when the voiceless stop, k, is pronounced after the consonant, s, the voiceless stop becomes a fortis. In the word sky, the fortis sound can be considered similar to the fortis sound of the double consonant, songyok, which is the fortis sound of the initial sound of gyok. If you can differentiate between the aspirated sound and the fortis sound using the English word sky, now let's practice by comparing the fortis sound of songyok with the aspirated initial sound of kiuk along with the following Korean words.
기, 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 기. 거리, 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 거리. 갈, 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 갈. 코끼리, 코끼리.
If you can distinguish between the fortis sound of the double consonant, songyok, and the aspirated sound of kiuk, let's now practice comparing the pronunciation of the initial sound of the gyok and the initial sound of songyok with the words below.
게, 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 게,
고리, 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 고리.
굴, 굴, 꿀, 꿀,
까마귀, 까마귀.
Lastly, to review the Korean sound system, basic sounds, aspirated sounds, and fortis sounds, let's practice comparing the initial sound of gyok, the initial sound of kiuk, and the initial sound of songyok with the words shown on the screen.
거리, 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 거리. 기, 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 기. 개다, 개다, 캐다, 캐다, 깨다, 깨다. 꽃갈콘, 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 꽃갈콘.
To summarize the information we have reviewed so far, unlike the English phonemic system that distinguishes sounds by voiced and voiceless distinctions, Korean differentiates consonant sounds through basic sounds, aspirated sounds, and fortis sounds. The initial sound of the consonant, gyok, represents the basic sound, and the initial sound of the consonant, kiuk, formed by adding a stroke to the consonant, gyok, represents the aspirated sound. Additionally, the initial sound of the consonant, songyok, represents the fortis sound. This fortis sound is created by stressing the initial sound of gyok. We have confirmed the method of pronunciation by comparing the initial sound of gyok, the initial sound of kiuk, and the initial sound of songyok. By listening to the audio of this textbook, it is suggested to continue practicing the three phonemic systems of Korean: basic sounds, aspirated sounds, and fortis sounds. Now, according to the order, let's confirm the pronunciation method of the initial sound of the second double consonant, songdigut. As briefly introduced earlier, unlike songyok, songdigut is only possible in the initial position. The pronunciation explanation of songdigut will also compare the three Korean phonemic systems: basic sounds, aspirated sounds, and fortis sounds, similar to how songyok was explained. Just as we explained the initial sound pronunciation of songyok step by step before confirming the pronunciation method of songdigut, to aid your understanding, let's first compare the characteristics of the initial sound of the consonant digut and the initial sound characteristics of the consonant tiut, which is created by adding a stroke to digut. In the first lesson, it was mentioned that by adding a stroke to the consonant digut, we can derive the consonant tiut. The initial sound of digut is a sound similar to the English voiced sound d, and the initial sound of tiut is a sound similar to the English aspirated and voiceless sound t. In English, the alveolar consonants d and t are distinguished as voiced and voiceless, respectively. However, as introduced earlier, in Korean, the initial sound of digut and the initial sound of tiut are distinguished not by the characteristics of voiced and voiceless sounds, but rather by the initial sound of digut, representing a basic sound, and the initial sound of tiut, representing an aspirated sound. Listen to the audio and practice distinguishing the initial sound of digut and tiut, along with the words below.
드, 드, 트, 트. 발, 발. 탈, 탈. 도끼, 도끼. 토끼, 토끼. 동, 동. 동, 동. 도토리, 도토리.
This time, let's compare the initial sound of the consonant tiut and the initial sound of the consonant songdigut to confirm. Earlier, it was mentioned that the initial sound of tiut is close to the English t sound. If we were to compare the initial sound of songdigut with English pronunciation, the pronunciation of the English word stop could serve as a good example. When explaining the pronunciation method of the initial sound of songgyok, it was also mentioned that when a voiceless stop sound, t, is pronounced after the consonant s, in English, the voiceless stop sound, t, becomes a fortis sound. In the pronunciation of the English word stop, when the consonant t becomes a fortis after the consonant s, that fortis sound is similar to the initial sound of songdigut. By using the pronunciation of the English word stop, if you can distinguish between the initial sounds of tiut and songdigut, now listen to the audio and practice comparing the initial sounds of tiut and songdigut with the words below.
트, 트. 뜨, 뜨. 탈, 탈. 딸, 딸. 탕, 탕. 땅, 땅. 틈, 틈. 뜸, 뜸. 똥통문, 똥통문.
Continuing, if you can differentiate the initial sounds of songdigut and tiut and pronounce them correctly, now let's compare and confirm the initial sounds of digut and songdigut with the words below.
드, 드. 뜨, 뜨. 밤, 밤. 땀, 땀.
덕, 덕. 떡, 떡.
도, 도. 또, 또. 딱따구리, 딱따구리.
Lastly, let's listen to the audio and practice pronouncing the initial sounds of digut, tiut, and songdigut, along with the words below, comparing their pronunciations.
드, 드. 트, 트. 뜨, 뜨. 발, 발. 탈, 탈. 딸, 딸.
덕, 덕. 턱, 턱. 떡, 떡. 도토리떡, 도토리떡.
Let's explore the pronunciation of the third geminate consonant, songbyup, according to the order. Once again, as a reminder, songbyup can only be used as an initial sound, similar to songdigut. Like the two previously introduced geminate consonants, I will first introduce the initial sound of byup, the basic bilabial sound, and then the initial sound of pyup, the aspirated bilabial sound, in the same manner before proceeding to confirm the pronunciation method of the initial sound of songbyup, the fortis bilabial sound. The initial sound of byup in Korean is a bilabial sound that is close to the English voiced sound B. On the other hand, the initial sound of piup, which is an aspirated sound, is closer to the English voiceless sound P. In English, the bilabial sounds B and P are distinguished as voiced and voiceless sounds respectively. However, upon closer examination, sounds that are articulated at the same point of articulation are distinguished in Korean as basic and aspirated sounds rather than by the characteristics of voiced and voiceless sounds. Because of this distinction, when a native Korean speaker produces the initial sound of biup, instead of narrowing their vocal cords to produce the voiced sound B, they produce it more comfortably, resulting in a sound closer to the voiceless sound P. Due to this phonetic feature, when a native Korean speaker utters a Korean surname like Bok, English native speakers tend to perceive it as Park rather than Bok. However, even if an English native speaker perceives the Korean name Bok as Park, native Korean speakers are more likely to perceive it as Bok. Similarly, if you were to pronounce the Korean surname Bok as Park, native Korean speakers would be more likely to perceive it as Park rather than Bok. Therefore, as an English native speaker, it would be helpful for you to pronounce the initial sound of biup more closely to the English voiced sound B rather than the voiceless sound P, similar to how a native Korean speaker would pronounce it. This could be the easiest way for you to pronounce the initial sound of biup, like a native speaker. So, listen to audio samples and practice distinguishing the initial sounds of biup and piup, along with the words provided below.
부, 부, 푸, 푸,
박, 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 박,
비리, 비리, 피리, 피리, 발, 발, 팔, 팔, 불판, 불판.
Continuing with the second step, let's compare the initial sounds of piup and sambiup and verify the pronunciation method of the initial sound of sambiup, a bilabial fortis. If we were to explain the initial sound of sambiup in comparison to English pronunciation, the pronunciation of the English word spy could serve as a good example. As mentioned before when explaining the initial sounds of sangyeok and sangdigut in English, when an aspirated voiceless stop follows the consonant s, the voiceless stop becomes a fortis sound. In the pronunciation of the English word spy, the consonant p following the consonant s becomes a fortis, which is similar to the initial sound of sambiup. By utilizing the pronunciation of the English word spy, if you can distinguish the initial sounds of piup and sambiup, you can now practice comparing the initial sounds of piup and sambiup along with the provided words while listening to audio samples.
푸, 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 불, 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 불. 파랑, 파랑, 빨강, 빨강, 파리, 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 훌빵, 훌빵.
Now, moving on to the third step, if you can distinguish the initial sound of sambiup from the initial sound of piup, let's now compare the pronunciation of the initial sound of biup and the initial sound of sambiup with the words provided below to confirm the differences in their pronunciations.
부, 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 부리, 부리, 뿌리, 뿌리, 벼, 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 벼,
방, 방, 빵, 빵,
바빠요, 바빠요.
Finally, listen to the audio while practicing the pronunciations of the initial sounds of biup, piup, and sambiup, along with the words provided below, to compare their pronunciations with each other.
그, 그, 불, 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 불이, 불이, 풀이, 풀이, 보리, 보리, 반팥빵, 반팥빵.
Continuing from Sangbiup, I will now explain how to pronounce the initial sound of the fourth double consonant, Sangshiat. As briefly introduced earlier, like Sangyeok, Sangshiat can be used both as an initial and final consonant. We will cover the final sound of Sangshiat along with the final sound of Sangyeok in the next session. The pronunciation explanation of Sangshiat is different from the description of the three previous double consonants mentioned earlier. Unlike those, it does not include an aspirated sound, and it can be explained in terms of basic sound and fortis sound. The initial sound of shiat, a basic sound, is similar to the English voiceless alveolar fricative s, and the initial sound of sangshiat, a fortis sound, can be obtained by pronouncing the English voiceless alveolar fricative s strongly. A similar English sound to the initial sound of sangshiat is comparable to the initial sound of the English word see. Not only the word see, but also the sound of the English consonant s, strongly pronounced as the initial sound of a word before a vowel, as seen in words like see, some, song, is similar to the initial sound of sangshiat. The initial sound of shiat is similar to the sound of the English consonant s used as the initial sound of words before a voiceless stop, as in words like sky, spy, stop. Let's practice pronouncing and comparing the initial sound of shiat and the initial sound of sangshiat along with the words below.
시, 시,
시, 시,
살, 살, 쌀, 쌀, 심장, 심장, 쌈장, 쌈장, 새쌍둥이, 새쌍둥이.
In order, let's proceed to examine the pronunciation of Songjiyut following Sangshiat. Once again, to review, Songjiyut can also be used as an initial sound only, like Songdigut and Songbiyup. As introduced earlier, let's explain the pronunciation of Songjiyut by first introducing the initial sound of the basic sound, jiyut, and the initial sound of the aspirated sound, chiyut, and then proceed with the verification. The initial sound of jiyut, a basic sound, is similar to the initial sound j in the English word juice. Additionally, the initial sound of chiyut, an aspirated sound, is comparable to the initial sound ch in the English word church. By comparing the initial sounds of juice and church in English, if you have understood the initial sounds of jiyut and chiyut, you can practice distinguishing the initial sound of jiyut and the initial sound of chiyut by listening to audio and pronouncing the given words.
즈, 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 자, 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 절, 절, 철, 철, 조정, 조정, 초청, 초청, 초장, 초장.
If you can distinguish the initial sound of jiyut, a basic sound, and the initial sound of chiyut, an aspirated sound, then let's continue by practicing the initial sound pronunciation of songjiyut, a fortis sound, while comparing the initial sound of jiyut and the initial sound of songjiyut. If we were to compare the initial sound of songjiyut with English pronunciation, a good example would be pronouncing the initial j in the English word jam strongly. Just as we understood that when explaining the fortis sound, sangshiat, it is similar to how the initial s in the word see is pronounced strongly before a vowel. By listening to audio, let's practice and compare the initial sound of jiyut and the initial sound of songjiyut while using the words below.
즈, 즈, 쯔, 쯔,
자리, 자리,
자리, 자리,
점, 점,
짬, 짬,
종, 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 짜장면, 짜장면,
If you can distinguish the initial sound of jiut, a basic sound, and the initial sound of songjiut, a fortis sound, now let's practice pronouncing the initial sound of chiut, an aspirated sound, and the initial sound of songjiut, while comparing them with the words below.
츠, 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 창, 창, 장, 장, 총, 총, 종, 종, 차다, 차다, 짜다, 짜다, 철쭉, 철쭉,
Lastly, listen to the audio and practice pronouncing the initial sound of jiut, the initial sound of chiut, and the initial sound of songjiut, while comparing them with the words below.
츠, 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 참, 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 참,
짬, 짬,
짐, 짐, 침, 침,
찜, 찜,
전복찜, 전복찜,
Summarizing today's lecture content, there are 5 double consonants in Korean. From today's confirmation of double consonants, if we understand that song signifies a pair consisting of 2 identical things, then we can deduce that songgiok is formed by combining the consonant giok twice, and likewise songdigut can be understood as being created by doubling the consonant digut. The same method applies to the remaining 3 double consonants. Notably, both songgiok and songshiet can be used as initial and final consonants in Korean, while the other 3 double consonants can only be used as initial consonants. While explaining how to pronounce double consonants, it was introduced that the Korean phonetic system can be categorized into 3 sounds: basic sound, aspirated sound, and tense sound. This differs from the distinction between voiced and voiceless consonants in most English consonants. Revisiting the 3 phonetic systems along with songgiok, as confirmed in today's lecture, the sound value of the consonant giok in the initial position is a basic sound, and the sound value of the consonant kiuk, created by adding 1 stroke to the consonant giok, is an aspirated sound. The initial sound of giok is similar to the English voiced velar sound g, while the initial sound of kiuk is similar to the English voiceless velar sound k. By strongly pronouncing the initial sound of giok, it becomes the initial sound of songgiok, a fortis sound. In this textbook, Korean fortis sounds are explained using the phenomenon of a voiceless stop turning into a tense stop after s in English. The remaining Korean double consonants are also explained in comparison with English sounds to describe Korean fortis sounds. Summarizing the introduced consonants so far with the table below, I will conclude today's lecture. Also, as you can see in the another table, the 19 consonants are organized in order. I hope to see you again in the next session.